Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl. Welcome to my Happy Handcraft Studio. Thank you to everyone who wished me good health. I feel great. All those wishes worked. So I've had some really good times for stitching, crocheting, bag making, reading, being out with friends. It's been really good. So thank you. So yes, I am feeling totally recovered. Thank you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about my stitching. I have my temperature blanket. I'll show you progress this time. I have a couple of bags to show that I've made. I have photos from the Quilt Festival where I entered a couple of my quilts. I also have some information about my newest charity endeavor, which I want to share with you, and a little bit about book club and some book reviews. I've read some really good books recently. So thank you to every subscriber who keeps on coming back. I really do enjoy your comments. If you're new this time, welcome. I hope there's something here that will keep you coming back. So last episode, I showed some pictures of two ornaments I'd finished. And one of them, the little deer, I think it was called, I asked if it should have some more embellishment on it. And you have spoken, yes, I need to add a ribbon or a sprig of something to it. So I will do that, and when I complete it, I'll share it with you. Quilt stand. I have this little quilt stand from the Ujamaa Grandma sale. And you did give me some really good suggestions for what to put on it. Something that came up, I watched Judy at the City Stitcher, and she reminded me about the cliffside tiles, which I had already started to download because I like the sort of geometric features of that pattern. And so after her video, I went and downloaded the last few. I'll show you the picture of the project here. Now, if you think you want this free pattern, all of these tiles, you need to go to Cliffside Tiles on Facebook right away. Ask to join the group, because these patterns will only be available until June 11th. So that gives you less than a week to get them all downloaded. I think they'd be great. Like, I could choose 4, 8 of them to make a little quilt. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, so what I've been working on. So I finished up May, and like the start of May was not good. So by the end of May, I still had all of my goals to complete, and I did. I got them all done, plus a little bit extra. So one of my Whip Go goals was 500 stitches on the 2009 Prairie Schooler Santa. And I got that completed, so that was great. And then my other Whip Go goal was 500 stitches on Hoity Toity. So Hoity Toity is on a 32 count antique white Lugana, and I'm using the called for DMC. If you ever want to know the linens or the patterns, the threads I'm using, I list them in the description box below, so they're there for you. So I work on a coronation piece on the 6th of the month, and so I missed the 6th because I wasn't feeling great, but by the end of the month I had added this section into Queen Elizabeth II in Her Coronation Dress, and this is by Teresa Gil. This is a 28 count Vintage Blue Cashel, and I'm using the called for DMC. Nice that that one is coming along. So the goals were completed. So then I used my Tiny Decisions wheel, and the first thing that came up was the third Oology piece that I'm working on. This is by Satsuma Street. Again, 28 count Cashel, ice blue linen, and I'm using the called for DMC. And then I have another decision wheel that is for my December 2022 starts that I did kind of over just between Christmas and New Year's. And I worked on Baubles Galore. So this is a string of ornaments hanging. And the pattern is by Peppermint Purple. It's Blackwork. And I've decided to use the leftover threads from Watermelon Tourmaline because I loved how those colors all work together. And this is a 14 count printed Aida from Charlescraft. So this is from Michael's. So it was fun to get back and do something new. So that was May. June started. I'm feeling great, so I'm going to get my Whip Go done right away. The first Whip Go piece that I had is Chocolate Bunny. And this is Chocolate Bunny. It's by Teresa Gil. And this was in Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine 2020 spring. I'm doing it on a 32 count chocolate raspberry linen using the called for colors. So this one is getting close to a finish. I would love to get another piece completed. And then the final Whip Go piece was Remember November. And this is MarNic Designs. I'm using the called for DMC. It's on a 28 count white Monaco. So it's coming, and again, you know, it's getting close. I need the R, I need a few flowers here. I also have, I think these are all French knots, and then back stitching. So there's still a lot of time needed, but it's coming. It'll be great. So that was my stitching. I mean, it was good. I was doing probably just about 300 stitches a day, which is great. So I know my mood. My mood is I need to get these projects done. You know, it's time. So I have these 4 projects that I started mid 2022. And they're Changing Seasons, Hoity Toity, Remember November, and Coronation Dress. So I'm going to be focusing on those. So I think I have a week dedicated in June to each of those pieces. And then I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 more projects that I didn't start until the end of December to New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve I did 12 new starts. This is the result of that. So they really, in my mind, are like 2023 starts. They're all, well, there's a few smaller projects, so I'd like to get those worked on as well. Because ideally, I would love to come to October, November with very few projects, you know, just maybe these 3 and a few more, and then decide what I'm going to work on for 2024. Because I really like kitting everything up at one time, you know, deciding if there's a theme or just what I want to work on for the year, get it all kitted up at one time, put everything into the spreadsheet, And then for the rest of the year, I basically just work on those projects unless something special comes up, like a coronation or, you know, that kind of thing. So my plan is to work on those big pieces, those 4 big pieces, Changing Seasons, Remember November, Hoity Toity, and Queen Elizabeth II in Her Coronation Dress. So that's what I'm going to be really focusing on. I also have days where I work on these projects. So the 6th, I'll work on the Queen Elizabeth II in Her Coronation Dress as well. For stitching at the library, I am going to work on King Charles III coronation emblem. Now, stitching at the library is coming up. It's Saturday, June 17th. It's at the Crowfoot Library, so that's a change of location. So Crowfoot Library, and it's going to be in the afternoon from 1 to 4. And we would love to see you. We would love to have more people join our group. It's not a closed group. Everyone is welcome. So what else is coming up for stitching is Stitch and Stash in Edmonton. So that is like the 3rd week of June. And I have a lot to do to get ready to head up to the retreat. I have to fully finish the exchange piece. I'm hoping to have a little giveaway for all the people there. I have to decide what I'm going to take. I think it'll be King Charles coronation emblem, because that's Aida, easy to work on. And especially if I put in a lot of the one leg of the cross, I can just go cross by cross and get it done. And also I'm thinking maybe Simplicity Vintage again, because it is on Aida and would be easy to see. So I'm really looking forward. I used to live in Edmonton, so it's kind of like going home. Yes, so there's lots to look forward to in June. It'll be great. So if you watch Judy, the City Stitcher, you will know that she's not nice. She's mean. She accused me of pushing her into the pit of crochet. And to that I say, I really believe everyone should be multi-craftual. I don't think that's a word. Handcrafts are wonderful, and it's good to have a variety so that you always have something you want to work on. So my crochet project is the Michael's crochet temperature blanket. And I've been working on this since the beginning of January. And, our temperature continues to change. It keeps going up and down and everything. So this is the current width. So we have nice warm temperatures now. We've had warm days. It's great. These are like, 20 degrees Celsius. So high 60s, low 70s. It's been great. It's been wonderful to be out. So that is my crochet blanket. Now I had a question about size. And yes, I was using the called for crochet hook. Let's see what it says. 5.5 millimeter, and that's what I'm using. And on the pattern it says it should be about 61 inches by 91 inches. And I figure with my calculations mine will be 62 inches wide by about 112 inches long. So a good cover, for when you're on the couch, or if you want to use it as a picnic blanket or something, it'll be great. So I continue to work on that one every day. Love to start something new, but I've got lots of projects on the go right now, so I'm just being calm. I'm just kind of waiting for the right time and the right project. So bag making. Our Ujama Grandma's Bags, Babies, and Beyond sale is going to be in October. And I want to make sure that we have lots of things to sell at the sale. So the first thing that I made was this little handbag. And it's just, I did the same fabric on the inside. This was fabric that I picked up a couple of years ago at our fabric and yarn sale. It's kind of got a gold sparkle in it. Now this pattern is by Pattern Pool. Pool, P-O-O-L-E. Pattern Pool is an Australian quilt designer, and she teaches quilt as you go techniques, so that you don't have to have a great big quilt that you are quilting together, but you do it piece by piece. And the reason I did this bag was that I wanted to try this handle just to see what it would be like. So it was interesting. It was a fun, easy little bag to make. And then I decided I wanted to make a crossbody sling. And so I'd seen this picture. It's Paco and Lupe. And I thought that would be a nice crossbody bag. So note to self and note to people who are making bags, it's a really good idea to look at what the dimensions are. Because the picture doesn't show it actually on a person. It just shows the bag by itself, so you don't have any idea of scale. So I made it. It turned out great, but it is more like a backpack type of it's a sling, so you wear it over one shoulder, and there's two ways you can attach it, so whichever way is more comfortable. It's great for like a large iPad. I have the 12.9 iPad, would fit into here perfectly. So it has a magnetic closure right there, so you can slip in something there. And it has a zippered pocket that goes the whole length of the backpack, or the sling. And then inside, there is a zippered pocket on this side. So, not too deep, so you won't lose things in that one. And then on the other side, there's a slip pocket. And I did that in kind of a rainbow batik fabric. I thought it kind of gave that boho vibe. So that one will go into the sale for October. And I've got another little bag cut out. You'll see that next time, hopefully. So that's bag making. I'm going to show you a little stash position. Not much. Just this little box of buttons from our dollar store called the Dollarama. And I really liked, they're a wooden bead. They're sort of nice, soft pastel colors. I think those might look really nice on my finishing. It's a good couple of weeks when you spend like $1.25. So like that. Of course, I kind of stocked up last month. Okay, so quilting. So we had our Festival of Quilts at Heritage Park, which is our local historical village, I guess you would call it. And it was a beautiful day. It was a great crowd. I mean, there were probably close to 100 people at a time lined up for admission into the park. It's a big park. It has lots of area. And there were lots of quilts. I think maybe around 500 quilts to show. One of my viewers in the comments asked if I was concerned about my quilts being out in the smoke. Now, if you can tell by the pictures, it was not a smoky day. When you enter a quilt into an outdoor quilt show, you can't be precious. It might get rained on, it might get snowed on, there could be a dust storm. The thing about quilts is usually they're washable. So the quilts I put in, if they would have gotten dirty, I'd have washed them. Like that's kind of the way I feel about it. So it was a lovely day. And as it turned out, both of my quilts were inside either a building or a tent. So my first quilt was the orange and white quilt where I did the sunflowers using Candace Grisham's technique called Dresden's Reimagined. And that was in a barn. It was in an old barn, and all the orange and white quilts and the tree quilts were in the barn. And then I also had my Modern Snowflake by Modern Handcraft, and that was in a tent, and it was hanging with other Christmas quilts, and that's where the vendors were. So we had several quilt shops from around the area selling their things there. It was great. I saw lots of quilt friends and Ujamagramma friends there. When I dropped off my quilts, I kind of, thought I had missed a memo because the first 3 people I saw were all people who had either worked in the quilt room with me at the Fabric and Yarn sale or next door to me in the fabric. So, people who are volunteers, they volunteer for everything. It was great. And we also had a beautiful display by Karen King. She was this year's Quilter of Distinction, and she's also a member of the Ujamagrammas. So it was really a great event. I really, really enjoyed it. Didn't buy anything. like I don't need quilt fabric, really. So it was a great time. And I will definitely enter quilts next year. So the challenge for next year is diamonds. And it can't be a square put on a point, but it has to the theme is diamonds. And I already have a project ready for that that I bought several years ago and just never got around to making. Well, now I'm going to make it. And the other one is houses. And I just saw a pattern that I think, yes, that's what I'm going to make. So I've already got my fall quilt plans that will go from September until May. So there's always things to look forward to. So, book club. I had my book club friends come over to the house on Sunday. We had a brunch. It was great. We've known each other for 23 years. We each kind of knew one person in the group, and now we've been friends for 23 years. We started off, we were in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and now we're in the people who've continued are in their 40s, 60s, and 70s. So it's wonderful to have that kind of a relationship. And the book we were talking about was The Reading List, which I've recommended before. And just to get ready for the book club, I listened to parts of it again, and it's wonderful. It's just a great book. So I have some book recommendations for you. So the first one is, I often get the quirky books. This one is called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And it's Toshikazu Kawaguchi, Japanese author. So this book has sold more than 1 million copies in Japan. It's about a small cafe in Tokyo where urban legend says that if you've visited before with certain people in the cafe, you can go back in time and meet with them again. Now, the one thing about meeting them again is that you can't change the future. You can't change what actually happens to these people. You can't. It's not like you can go back in time and fix things. You can't change the future, but it's a beautiful, gentle book about what you can do when you have a chance to talk again with someone special in your life. And so there's 4 different parts. There's one part is called The Lovers. Another one is Husband and Wife. There's the Sisters, and then there's Mother and Child. It's a lovely, lovely book. It's a really short book too, so you don't have to invest too much time if you're not too sure. And if you followed me before when I talk about books, you know that I'll pick up one book and then the next book I pick up is on the same topic, sort of. So the next book I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I was listening at the same time to Wrong Place, Wrong Time. And this is by Gillian McAllister. So again, time, a time trope book. A mother is waiting for her son, her 18-year-old son, to get home. It's at the time change, so she's expecting him at 1 o'clock, but it actually is 2 o'clock when he, but he's out there. He knows he's pushing the boundaries. And as she's watching for him, she sees him stab and kill a person approaching him right outside their house. And her and her husband go out. They try to help the victim. The police are called. The police come. They take her son away. They go to the jail. There's nothing that they can do that night. The son needs to be processed, the whole thing. So they go home. She goes to bed. And the next day when she wakes up, it's the day before the murder happened. And so the story is about how does a mother try to change things so that her son is not a murderer. And it is a really good, like, why'd he do it? Or, what was the stages of the events that led to this terrible thing happening. It was really good. I think I maybe drove around the block a couple of times, so that I could continue to read it or to listen to it in the car. And the last book, the most recent one I read, was called Hang the Moon. Now, I chose this one because I love Jeanette Walls. Jeanette Walls wrote the book The Glass Castle, about a dysfunctional family. It was a memoir. This one is a novel, and not as serious, but it is really family drama. There's a lot of different things happening in this. It's the main character is Sally Kincaid, and she's the Duke's daughter. The Duke runs the town. He owns the store. He rents out property to tenants. He's like, not the Godfather, but he's he's the guy you go to in this area. And it's in Prohibition times in Appalachia. So there's kind of the mountain people, there's making moonshine, it's all about that. And this is about Sally's relationship with her father, what happened to her mother, her aunt. She is, I think what I liked about the book was that this is about a young woman who really defies conventions. She's not looking for a husband. She's not looking for someone to look after her. She is about looking after others. So a page turner for sure. It's not a heavy book. It's interesting. If you love family drama and soap opera stuff, it'll be perfect. All right, so there are my book reviews. Really looking forward to the week. I'm really trying to get a lot of activity in because the newest charity endeavor from our Grandmothers to Grandmothers campaign is Stride to Turn the Tide. And so grandmothers all across Canada, we are getting active to raise money for the grandmothers in Africa. Now, we are really fortunate. Most of us are retired people who can spend our days gardening, going for hikes, going for walks, golfing. It's wonderful. Our African grandmothers, they're walking hours a day to provide water for their families. They're taking care of animals they're raising animals, they're raising chickens, they're trying to get market gardens, they are working in small businesses to provide for their families. I mean, if we think about what if us at our age, if we had to start providing for our grandchildren and we had never really worked before perhaps, or we looked after kids instead of having other jobs. So now there's a whole group of women in Africa who are having to make a living for themselves and for their grandchildren. So, Stride to Turn the Tide. We are being sponsored by family and friends to be active, and it's great. So, first of all, on the very first day of it, June 1st, a group of the Ujam Grandmas, we went out on a terribly blustery day and walked around the Glenmore Reservoir. It was wonderful. It was great to be out in the cool, fresh air, and we had a great visit as we walked around. And then the most recent thing I did, have a picture of myself golfing. I went out with a group of neighbors, and we had great 9 holes. So I know a lot of you have always said you would like to support our Bags, Babies, and Beyond sale or our Fabric and Yarn sale. If you'd like to support me in my walk, I have the link below. So that would be great. All right, everyone. I have to get busy. I have to stitch and sew and garden and walk and golf and read. I have to stay healthy because I have a lot to do. I hope you stay healthy as well and enjoy everything that you're doing. Bye for now. Bye-bye.